All right, welcome everybody to our Teens and Tweens panel. That seems to be one of the most popular questions, regardless of the lane in which you school, right? And what do I do with these teens and tweens? So we were very, very excited to have some amazing organizations who do work with teens and tweens come in to kind of share their experience, their opportunities, and just maybe some things you didn't even know were out there or ways to go. All of them bring something unique and different. So I'm going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves, the organization that they're with, and kind of a little quick pitch about what they do. And then we'll just go into really kind of free-form conversation with questions. You all are free to ask questions if you have them as well. And yeah, we'll just do that until time's up. Sound like a plan? Excellent. All right. So I'm going to start here with a newly discovered organization. Actually, our orgs just partnered up to work together, and it was just a match made in heaven. I was so super excited. I didn't know something like this existed. It's very much in line with a lot of our passions and purpose for our young kids. But Rachel Hall is here with a wonderful organization, Ladders for Leaders. So tell us a little bit about Ladders for Leaders, Rachel.
Nicole, you're so sweet. I feel like I'm on NPR with you right now.
Okay. I don't think we're going to be that serious.
Well,
Okay,
Ladders for Leaders is a local nonprofit based in Williamson County. We exist to provide paid summer internships for high school students in Williamson County, ages 16 to 18. This was born out of the vision of Lakissa Bright, our founder and creator, our president, our visionary, who saw the need for high school students to get some professional work experience before they graduated high school. She has a child who's completed college and one who's in college. I have a child who has completed college. And so we both have had the experience of trying to guide a child through the process of, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, we don't know. Who in this room knows? No one knows except you, because you're a surgeon.
And you've just invested too much time and money at this point.
So any opportunity, like I saw an opportunity to be a partner with Lakissa's vision to give students direction and clarification, and just to further empower students to find out what's inside them. Yes, I can go through a job interview successfully. Yes, I can sit in a boardroom meeting and have ideas. Yes, I can go out in the field and do soil samples for a civil engineering firm. Yes, I can work with students and help them learn computer coding. Or yes, I can work with a nonprofit to help people who have suffered trauma rediscover like the beauty of their self-worth and find inner healing through therapy with animals, or a portrait studio celebrating how they look now that they've been through something incredible in their life. So it's everything from STEM classes, engineering, math, to students who are interested in business, hospitality, healthcare. If you can imagine it, we're looking to find that for your student to go through. So it's really exciting to be a part of this. We're growing exponentially. And we're excited to be here today. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. I just so very cool. And especially like when you talk about working with them before we get to the college point, which it's going to lead me so beautifully into Sean, who's sitting right next here from ACC. But I love the idea of before we go and invest, right? Because in our last panel,
Student
we were talking
loans.
about college really is, well, at least I speak to my sons, right? This is an investment. Look at it as an investment and evaluate it as one if it makes sense, right? Do it. If it doesn't, don't, right? You're looking at your return of investment and when there's a time for that and not. But I love that before I'm going to go into college and invest all this money in a chosen career path, I've had the opportunity through your organization, hopefully, to explore that or other career paths and maybe, like you said, discover, hey, I didn't know I was even interested in this, and now it changes that trajectory.
Absolutely, yes.
So that's awesome.
Yes.
And then once I can discover it, then I can reach out to Sean, right? Sean, I can call you up
Yeah,
over from
hi,
Austin
yeah.
Community College. Tell us about what
Yeah,
you do.
hi, I'm Sean Fernando. I'm the enrollment and partners coordinator for the help for the Northridge campus. And I do high school programs over there. So specifically, we're talking about dual credit, early college start, and what we call our career academies like P-Tech, and other like health sciences programs. Under those certificate level programs as well. So not just college credit. But those are some of the examples of the things that we do in their high school programs. It's really interesting to hear Rachel talk about all the things that they branch out into. I was thinking, yep, we've got that program, like pretty much everything you were talking about. If they find something that they're interested in, ACC probably has a program to either get them a credential or at least get started in, right? So specifically talking about dual credit, that is available for public, charter, private, charter, and homeschool students as well. Dual credit, it not only is a way to earn high school and college credit at the same time, but it's also a tuition waiver as well. So if you're in district, meaning, and it's not based on the high school, or it's based on the individual student's residency. So if you pay the ACC district tax already, you're considered in district. And so that's a free tuition waiver for up to 12 classes, not credit hours, classes. So that typically 3-hour credit. So you're talking about up to 36 credit hours paid for before they're even done with high school, right? Or if you're out of district, that's a significant tuition waiver of like $150 per credit, per class again. So yeah, so there's something for everyone at ACC, including your students. And specifically, we're talking about teens and tweens on this panel. There is no age requirement for dual credit at ACC. They need to be a ninth grader, actually rising ninth grader. So whatever, if you're homeschooling, if you determine your student is a ninth grader, then they're a ninth grader. And the other requirement would be their college readiness. So you've heard about the TSI. We'll talk about the TSI later in more detail. But however they demonstrate college readiness, those are really the big two criteria before getting into dual credit.
Awesome. Excellent. Yeah. And Sean, you're going to have a breakout panel, I believe, right after this one, right?
I think it's later in the afternoon. But yeah, I'll do a whole thing on dual credit and like the whole enrollment process and that as well.
Right. So is the dual credit of those three programs, the dual credit, early college, and then you said career?
Career academies, yeah.
All right, so is dual credit the one that is open to homeschoolers and the rest are open to what? Public
Right.
schools? Or
So those other things, ECHS and career academies are specific to specific schools, not necessarily all public schools, but they are MOUs within those existing schools, right? So if we're going back to talking about homeschooling your student, they may not be in a career academy doing those things, but if they're homeschooled, we can tailor their curriculum to match that of somebody who's doing like a certificate level program for, let's say, phlebotomy, right? So that's a 1 semester certificate level 1 program. If that's what your student's interested in and they meet that criteria, we can work with them to get into that program, even though they're not, at the public school that has that academy.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay. So I would say if you're interested in learning more about those different paths, definitely want to attend that breakout session, which is going to lead me into our other guests, Marissa and Tim Pullen. So Marissa, you also have a breakout session, which talks a bit about how you kind of capture some of those college credits, maybe not in the most traditional of ways, but it sounds like, yeah, if it's not quite going, or if I can't get in my MACOU, whatever that was, but then maybe I can come and see you and you can help me figure out how to get there as well. So tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
Okay, so my name's Marisa, this is Tim, and we're with Embark Learning Center. So we actually do a few different things. From a professional certification standpoint for older teens that are typically about 14 and older, we've got our IT certifications because honestly, sometimes college isn't for everybody. And we recognize that that's a real possibility. And with the industry standard certifications that we offer, you can actually go out into the workforce and get a job that can continue to help you pay to further your education. Because a lot of times in the IT world, those companies will pay for those certifications as you go through. In addition to that, and Tim's going to talk more about that here in just a second, but in addition to that, we also do offer some certifications for tweens, and you don't see that very often. So we have first aid and CPR certifications for them. It's important for them to learn those skills and understand how to handle emergency situations. What does it mean to stay cool, calm, and collected? How do you handle something like a weather emergency or fire in a home, and a lot of times it's not always a normal topic of conversation. And so we actually do provide a certification like that for tweens, starting at around 11 years old. We also teach sitter classes, and they are to certified kids that want to learn more about child development, behavioral management, and things like that. And those are offered starting at around 11, 12, and it's ideally geared for 11 to about 14 is typically the sweet spot for those classes. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Tim so he can talk a little bit more about the IT stuff.
Hey guys, how you doing? Good, awesome. So a couple of classes that we have. Basically the purpose behind Embark Learning Center, the IT division, is, as Marisa mentioned, to help people get into the IT field without taking the traditional college route. I myself went to a school very similar to this, and was able to get myself into the IT career. 20 years under my belt, tons of certifications later. I woke up one morning and said, why didn't I teach this? I mean, I've been teaching it now for about 10 years at various different companies. I might as well just do it on my own. And so, hence, Embark Learning Center was created. So between Marisa and I, we run the joint. And so the idea is to get it done in less than a year, right? So our longest course is about a 10-month course, about 800 hours, and about 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, and they get to do hands-on. They get to learn from a professional, also get help with their certification testing, as well as professional development. So we also walk them through how to do interviews, how to create a resume, a lot of the skills that they don't currently have, and that they would need to get moving forward to get jobs. And then we also do help with job placement as well. So we are in talks with a lot of the recruiters in the area, a lot of the major companies in the area, and they're always hitting us up saying, hey, we got these jobs available, do you have any students? And that's where I would say, yes, meet, John Smith over here, and he just happened to finish one of our advancement classes, and there you go. So that's kind of what we do, and we are focused more on the for the high school students. We're focused more on the, hey, let's not give them a ton of debt, right? We don't, like myself, Marisa, we did do some college. I did some college work, and I have a lot of debt underneath me, right? So I'm sure a lot of other people have the same problems. I know, I'm pointing you out again. Exactly. There you go. So the idea here is that, first of all, we have payment plans, but more importantly, we have discounts specifically for high school students. I'll give you an example. Our network engineer course, that's the 800-hour course, 10-month course, normally is $18,995, and you're going to look at that and be like, wow, but that includes books, that includes vouchers, that includes everything. So here's the deal. You cover the books, you cover the vouchers, you cover all that. You just pay for the actual class portion of it. Boom, we just knocked about $15,000 off the price. So easy peasy lemon squeezy. So at that point, we do payment plans for the rest of it, and for $5,000, they get a $20,000 course. And that's because we want to give back to the community. We want these high school students to be successful. And it's not even high school. I mean, you can be 14 and up. There's no age restriction as far as when you can get a certification. It's recommended in the industry that it's 14 and up. Now, realistically, are you going to get a job at 14 years old? Probably not. But, there's always
Why not?
internships, part-time positions, and that's where she can come into play. So either way, there's plenty of opportunities out there, and we like to throw our hat in that bucket. So.
It's so cool kind of listening to all, like, I don't know, anybody else say like, oh, I could see how I could take a teen all the way through a path where he's like, oh, maybe I'm going to go see what I'm interested in by Ladders to Leaders and work in this company. And then I'm going to go over here and get that entry-level certification because, you know what I mean, that's going to help me at my little job. And then I'm really going to be like, I want to go into this. So now I'm going to go to ACC because my employer, who I found through Ladders for Leaders after my certification with you guys, is going to pay for the rest of my educational journey.
That's true.
Right? Did nobody else see that path? I was
It's
like,
amazing how you just did that so quick.
It's funny you say that because I mentioned to a lot of my students when you and this is one of the reasons why I say wait on paying for the certifications. Don't pay me for the certification. Take the course, get the job, and the company will pay for the certification.
Yeah.
So free education at that point.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times the company will reimburse for education. And so there's a lot of different programs out there that can do that. So yeah, I mean it's a perfectly good thing. Start with her, go to me, and then hit up Sean.
Yeah, I would emphasize that as well. Utilize what's out there. Like I was talking about before. Yeah, even if you're homeschooling, your student homeschool, private, charter, if you're in district, you're already paying the ACC district tax, right? So utilize that asset, that resource for you. That's even if we're not talking about certifications, even just general college core curriculum classes, you want to get English, history, government out of the way. That's a great way to utilize those. And then they graduate high school and they have an ACC transcript under their belt, which of course college credits don't ever expire. They can take that to whatever four-year college they want to go to later, or if they want to do a certificate course that we're talking about, they can do that later as well. So and if you're in district, that's a potentially free class, up to 12 courses done.
Right. So, and again, I think we really need to start preparing and talking to our children, like we said earlier, about looking at how I invest my money and my time, right, and where I want to go. And fortunately, if we wait until we graduate at 18 and then have to answer that question while we jump right into college, then how can you? Like, you're just spending all this money into something you think you want to do. You find yourself many years later not in your chosen passion career path, not in your purpose. And so organizations like Ladders for Leaders, you know what I mean, and you guys speak really to the idea of something that I'm very passionate about. And you're right, I'm much beyond that. What do you mean I can't do it at 14? What do you mean I can't do it at 13? We introduce our middle schoolers, I guess if you're going to consider, those at the age of 12, we start introducing them to the idea of apprenticeships. And through our children's business fair and a program annually, we start them at the age of 4 or 5. We have entrepreneurs developing that entrepreneurial mindset, and I think it's really important for our children to be able to go and work under mentors and guides and apprenticeships and say, hey, like you said, somebody was talking about it, maybe it was Sue earlier. Hey, I think I want to be a vet. And then you go work with the vet, and you're like, I really don't like being around sick animals. You know what I mean? Like, so then you don't really want to be a vet. Like, you think something that you think you want to do, it sounds good in theory, until you go and actually do it. Mm-hmm. And I really think we need to create more and more opportunities for our children younger and younger and younger to try and explore new things. Mm-hmm. And so tell me a bit about the process of how Ladders for Leaders creates that, right? Like you walk us through, if you will, if I'm a teen. And I must be, in your organization, it starts at high school. Is that correct?
Right. So our program, you have to be 16 because businesses typically don't want to hire.
And we need to change that perspective of business owners. I do not know what is wrong with people. They're thinking about it all wrong. I'll get on that tangent later.
I put my daughter to work. She was definitely still in high school, and she was carrying photography gear and swapping out lenses for me at events that I was photographing. And I did pay her. I paid her $10 an
as you
hour,
should.
which was revolutionary back then.
Yeah.
But she quickly dumped me for higher pay at a coffee shop once she got in.
Oh yeah,
in
that's
college.
the danger. My 11-year-old's been working for me since he was 8.
Yeah.
And now he actually calculates.
Yeah.
Mom, that job's not worth my time.
Oh my gosh.
You can't give me enough hours.
It's a
I'm gonna
dagger
take
in
the
my
day off.
heart.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate you know your worth.
Yeah. So what Ladders does is, here's the process for a Williamson County student. This is homeschool, private, whatever, a student. You just have to be a Williamson County resident. We have an application process that's online. It always opens up in January, and it's a rigorous application. Students are always delighted to find out there's no essay. So, they're writing essays for college applications, and they cheered out loud when I said there's no essay. But they do have to complete that application. They do have to get letters of reference from adults who are not family members. And so it's really fun to read those. So if they make it through the application process, if they meet all the checkpoints, the residency, age requirement, they submitted their high school transcript, they've done all that. Then they will go through an interview with a Ladders for Leaders board member. So I would be one of those, or other board members. If they make it through that, then we look at all the business partners that we have who have agreed to sign up for that year, because the program runs in the summer. And we say, okay, we have these 4 students who would be really great for Dell, or we have these 3 students who would be really great for an insurance company or your organization, because you're actually partnering with us this year. So we will send those students to interview with Nicole or whatever liaisons we have. At that point, it's up to the business who they want to accept is their business. So then we'll extend that offer letter to the students who have been invited to participate that summer. And it's up to the student whether they want it or not. We say, generally speaking, it's a minimum of 20 hours a week, or the expectation is 20 hours a week, and they are expected to be paid. Because we do believe not just in the value of the experience, but the empowering of getting a paycheck. I mean, don't y'all like getting paychecks? I do. So we want them to have that reward as well. And so the internship begins about mid-June and runs through about the end of July. It's 6 weeks. We want to give them a taste and not take up their entire summer, because we understand their band camp or family trips, or maybe your uncle wants you to help out with his lawn business. So, we're trying to be flexible. Sometimes those students get offered further employment by the businesses based on how well they do. Sometimes they don't, and that's enough. We have a really high success rate. We have 42 students going through this summer's program. The board members of Ladders for Leaders function as personal liaisons between the students and the companies. So I personally have 6 students that I'm overseeing this summer. So I will physically go to the business where they are, check in with them, check in with their the person who's overseeing them, and just be available for that feedback. Sometimes students in this day and age, because of technology and just being on a phone all the time, or unfortunately because of the pandemic and we've been isolated for a couple of years, they lack the wherewithal to be able to go to a boss and say, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're asking me. And they're a little bit, uncomfortable going and asking. So they can come to me and say, Rachel, this schedule doesn't work and I don't know how to bring that up to my boss. Well, then I can go to the boss and say, hey, John, this student just has a conflict. How can we work around that? Can you communicate with them? And then it's done, rather than, not communicating or just saying, well, I quit because I can't do this. We want to teach these students soft skills that are so necessary and valuable no matter what you do, whether you're in hospitality or, the beauty industry or the event industry or business, whatever it is. Soft skills translate across every single field. Everybody needs to know how to make eye contact and shake a hand and say, hi, my name is Rachel. What time should I be there? And then show up 5 minutes early. So everybody needs to learn how to get constructive criticism, receive it, process it, and then respond to that. And so we're just here to help your kids be more successful. Find out, did I like working at that vet's office? No. I had to put a cat down. I'll never do that again. Yeah. Or, this was a software company and they just needed somebody to handle their marketing. I'm in market, I don't care anything about tech. I want to do marketing. Well, small businesses need marketing. I need marketing. So we've had an insurance company agent who her 4th quarter sales were dramatically impacted by having an intern set up a marketing plan for her. It just changed her business, and the student got to see it doesn't matter where I am, it's what I'm doing. And that value just goes across every single field. So we're helping to expand students' visions of, I can do that no matter where I am.
We have a saying in our community to stop calling them soft skills. They're essential skills. So we put them at the forefront of everything that we do with our heroes in our learning community. Question real quick. So 16 is the entry point for your organization, but is it open to, say, for example, public schoolers, private schoolers, homeschoolers? Do you just work with public school students? Like a lot of, like ACC is open to any lane, right? You can come in any lane
Right.
from your educational journey. Do you guys access all those, or right now just certain ones?
We've had homeschool students participate in our program and do very well. Yes, the minimal requirements, and you can find them on our website. They have to be a resident of Williamson County, because we're trying to meet a need that currently did not exist. Well, that had not existed, and we're meeting that need now. Austin ISD has a robust program in Travis County, and so we're just trying to provide for our students what the city of Austin is already providing for theirs. We do set the minimum age of 16. A lot of places, some places you need to be 18. So, if you're a graduating senior, like we have students who graduated high school in May, and they're going into our program right now. Like they're in our program this summer. And you don't necessarily have to be going to college. We are also trying to expand our reach to students who are interested in being an electrician or a plumber or in construction, because who knows how much we need those industries right now.
I know.
And you can have a very successful business doing that. So we're also trying to reach out and let students know that there's no stigma if you don't go to college. Like, not everybody needs to go, and that's fine. I have so many friends and colleagues, because I'm in the event industry, who have very successful hair and makeup, esthetician careers. So I know ACC has great programs for some of these, fields.
Well, I'm glad you actually brought that up.
And
'cause
I don't want to say that they're
we-
not available or important, because they really are. But like, we're kind of on the front end trying to give students that taste and that idea, get the wheels
Right.
turning, so that
Yeah,
then they can reach out
I
to
really,
these guys.
from everything that you're talking about today, like I really do feel like these are very complementary
Yeah.
organizations and programs, because when a student gets exposed to something that they are interested in, and can potentially follow up with classes in a traditional setting, they can earn that credential, right?
Yeah.
That can lead to a full career, So we're not just talking about, traditional college and four-year credentials here. We're talking about certificate level programs and things that they can actually get to start working immediately, right? So having a student, maybe even graduate from your program and then say, hey, I did a marketing internship and I really like that. Well, what can we do over here? Maybe technical writing skills, could help you with that, So there are a lot of things that you were talking about today that really translate well to a community college setting. One of the, you call them soft skills, and what do you call them? Essential skills?
Essential
I like
skills.
that.
Essential skills.
I like
I like
essential
that.
skills, because they are.
Because so one of the classes that when you were talking about that, one of the classes that popped to my mind was our EDUC 1300, which is it's called Learning Framework, but it's basically a succeeding in college course, right? It's time management. It's like interview skills. It's note taking. It's how to, and especially for students in a non-traditional setting going to traditional college, right? That transition of learning how to succeed in college, basically, right? That's very important, and it's an accredited class, right? But it'll like if they're trying to do traditional college, 4-year college, after that it'll come as a elective credit. But it's if they're doing one of our certificate level programs, it would be a requirement anyways, right? So they're getting that under their belt as well.
Excellent.
That's really interesting.
I might piggyback on that.
Yep,
just a
jump in,
bit.
please.
So we've always called them soft skills too, but I really love the essential skills phrase. That's pretty.
Making a
fantastic.
change.
But we have a very similar course as part of our course load. So it's professional development, and the purpose of professional development is to teach these skills to these students. To teach them how to interview, how to make eye contact, how to shake a hand. It's the very simple things that most of us know because we're adults and we've been there. But for students, they don't necessarily think about these things. And having these skills, I mean, you're right, they do. They translate across every industry, everywhere. So yeah, it's a cornerstone for sure.
Are there any questions, or we're just gonna keep chatting?
I have
I've got some more.
statement.
Okay.
So I work at a STEAM Learning Labs, and some of your Letters for Leaders kids work there as well.
Okay.
They're totally awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yay. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for that.
I know.
Yeah.
So proud. So like he's one of ours. So our school and enrichment program, the STEAM Academy and STEAM Learning Labs, partnered with your organization
Yes.
this year.
Yes.
And I will say it was really impressive to work with your teams. Again, we're aligned in a lot of ways, right? We have a training program, apprenticeship, entrepreneurship. We're empowering our kids to go out. We put the power in their hands. Like, you have to go find your own job. We don't go find it for you.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going to point our heroes into your organization as a resource tool to use, because here's someone that aids them. And I love that you guys actually do go collect those companies and connect them, because in our environment, I would love to do that. The type A personality is like, let me go find all these companies. Here you go, pick. But I can't. That's not our role. I have to say, no, you go find your company. You go pick.
I am not opposed to that idea.
Of me finding your companies for you, I'm sure you're not. But no, I'm not gonna. Oh, okay.
Yeah. We like to say that we provide curated employees
Yes.
to businesses, because they have gone through so many steps to get to that job interview with the company. And we specifically don't list the companies on our website because we don't want the students to just go straight to them. We want them to go through the process, because I mean, you learn, right?
It's a training program, how to get a job.
You learn through, I mean, if you don't finish the application, it's rejected. Oh, I didn't do it. I mean, you learn, we all know that failing is not failing if you learn something from it. So even, the one student maybe that we have, not complete the program in the summer, there's still a debriefing session with them to go over and say, hey, here's what your experience was. Here are some takeaways and next times, because we want them to learn from it. And like I said, not every student is going to come away saying, man, I love that job. I definitely want a career in that. A lot of times they'll come away because we have a survey with the students, with their parents, with the businesses at the end of the year to say, how was it? How can we improve? Because we're learning. And so if a student says, it was okay. It was okay. All right. But at least they went through it and learned some responsibility. They had to learn how to complete a W-2. They had to learn, how to set up a checking account. Like, I remember my dad walking me into a bank when I was little and setting up a savings account because I wanted money. But not everybody has that. Not everybody, in this day and age, parents are so busy. Anything we can do to help y'all succeed, we want to help you succeed, right? Let us just be that extra, just that little extra sauce that helps separate your kid from the rest. So yeah, we have a lot of students who are highly self-motivated, and then we have some that need a little bit more. I know me personally, I was not a courageous kid. I hated talking to strangers. I hated it. I credit my high school drama teacher for helping me just learn the skills to be sitting here today talking to you guys and not be uncomfortable doing that. But somebody taught me to do that. So yeah, it's been a really rewarding program. I can think of one specific example and then I'll stop talking. We had 2 young men working at a company that was designing a software app, like a phone app, for people with diabetes to track their health. And so these 2 young boys, smart kids, real smart, A++ students in school, sat in a meeting with the boss and their team leader and all the other employees, and were said, okay, we want you guys to come up with an idea to solve this problem, X, Y, and Z. And the students kind of blinked, because it wasn't, here's some information, memorize it, and I'll come back next week and tell me everything you memorized. There was none of that. It was, you come up with the idea. No one had ever asked them that before. And so they did. They came up with a whole thing. It was successful. The boss loved it. They used it. And so the change on their faces, when I said, how did that go at the end, because we have an end of year celebration, in July. They were like, they wanted my ideas. They cared what I thought. I contributed. I was part of that. I made something. You can't buy that. Like, that only comes through trial and error and trial and success, and businesses being willing to invite young people to come in and say, I trust you with this. I'm going to give you this, and you're going to take it, and I'm not going to hold your hand. You're going to have to do it yourself. And it's a safe place. Like, Ladders creates a safe place for students to get that, and it's not the end of the world, so because it's 6 weeks, it's an internship. It's not like, oh, I'm 30 and this is my job on the line. We're not there yet. It's like in that time where they're like willing to experiment and be okay with that.
That's awesome. So I think, one of the things that you hear a lot, at least from parents of teens, is like this fear that if I don't do this, and then I don't go to college, and then I don't get this degree, and I don't do it in this particular order, then how is my kid going to be successful? Right? Would you agree? So Marissa and Tim, maybe you guys can speak to this, right? Because I know you're over in the homeschooling space, you know what I mean, and working with children beforehand. And then Sean, maybe you can even speak to the mentality from the college perspective of saying, yes, we think that way, or no, we're not looking into that. Like, how do you, or what information or what things would you say to parents who kind of have that fear of like, but if my kid doesn't go to college and get this degree in this very particular manner, then they're not going to be successful. And then maybe from a business perspective, you can talk about, is that even the mentality of business owners even more? Because I'll challenge that it's not as one. But so what would you say? Open up the floor to that question.
Yeah, so we both are very active in the homeschooling space. We homeschool ourselves, and our children are now teenagers, and we've been homeschooling since the beginning. And Tim was actually homeschooled too, back before homeschool was a normal thing. Yeah. So every once in a while we get asked that question, because we hold Q&A sessions too for homeschoolers, and it does come up. What do we do if they don't follow this path? And the thing about it is that you don't have to follow a traditional path. You really have the flexibility to carve out what it is that you want for your kids, or what your kids want. In our case, we decided to go the IT school route because of the idea that, not every kid is going to go to college. And it's just, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's this huge stigma that's been around forever that if you don't get a college education, then it's not enough. And quite simply, it's just not true. Same thing with the trades, like construction and, AC repair, electrical. All of those are very important fields, and you don't necessarily need to go through to get a college education to begin your career. And a lot of parents still come from that mentality. And honestly, if it wasn't for Tim, I probably would have still come from that mentality. I went to college. My degree is in organizational management and in computer science, and neither of which I ever really use anymore. So, there's something to be said for that. With Tim, on the other hand, he didn't go the traditional college route. He, like he said before, he did the certifications. And so it kind of goes to the idea that there's more than one way to achieve the education that you need to get to the goals that you want. And the more that you explore, you give yourself the time to explore, the better off you're going to be and more well-rounded that your students will be as a result. They'll be able to say, hey, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And it gives them a better perspective of where they're going. So that's usually about how we would approach that kind of question. You want to add anything to that?
Well, yeah, just like for me, as Marisa mentioned, I didn't do the traditional college route. I did college later in life, in my 30s, because I wanted, I had that, for a short period of time, I had that mentality of, I want my kids to know that their mom and dad have a degree. And then, for me, that just, it wasn't my path. I went to a school very similar to the school, very similar to the layout that I run here in this school. So I went to a quick, it was I don't remember how many weeks off the top of my head, but it was a Microsoft certification course. I got certified and I got a certification. I went and worked for Dell, and I did that for a couple of years, and then I went and I got this job and this job and this job and this job, and I just, every time I stepped up, I was in a better paying position, higher paying position, higher higher title, and I just worked my way up. It's not because I'm a guru when it comes to IT. I mean, there's plenty of guys that know a lot more about IT than I do. You know, they live, they eat it, they breathe it. I don't do that. I study, I work hard, and I put my nose to the grindstone. But I focused on getting certifications, and I focused on that route, and I was able to support my family, and I made really good money. And you know, but that was my route. That was the way I go. So I basically I say to parents now, you know, this is the time to figure out what they want to do, right? And you know, not to force them into one way or the other, but obviously you don't want your kid to be 26 years old still living at home saying, I don't know what I want to do with my life. You know, that's definitely not the route that we want to take. But certainly, you know, open your horizons. You know, open your minds, open your thoughts to other avenues. And you know, this is, you know, it's funny that you had mentioned a safe place. Safe place. I always say fail means first attempt in learning, right? So you know, utilizing the things that are no, utilizing the opportunities that you have up here. You know, this first attempt in learning. If you fail the first time, that's okay. You know, like,
Oh, it's the concept of failing forward, right? Just go
right,
forward. That's all we do.
failing
Yeah.
forward, as long as you learn something, it's not a fail. First attempt in learning, it's not a fail. And you know, at Embark Learning Center, we rejoice failure, because if you fail, then you learn something, and now you won't make that same mistake again. And
Yeah.
move forward. So,
Yeah.
So Sean, when we talk about, like, you know, because you hear that, that's usually the conversation. Like, I'm either going to
Yeah.
go this traditional path to college, or I'm going to go this non-traditional path. But like from the college perspective, kind of looking out, is there even a such thing as a traditional path to college,
Well, I was
or is
just
that
about
just
to
even
say
a-
that I would argue that ACC represents a non-traditional path in itself, and specifically when we're talking about our homeschool students and the opportunities that they have with dual credit and others, Cert 1 certifications, and getting those under their belt before they even think about a four-year college or traditional higher ed. You know, there are a lot of opportunities available to your high school age students right now, and I would encourage you to have them explore those opportunities while they're available in that age range, because you know, especially talking about like the time commitment and tuition waivers and things like that, but also being exposed to different opportunities and things like, so, you know, not just traditional colleges, like traditional classes, like your English, history, government, that kind of stuff. That's great. You know, they can do that if they want to, but they could also do a certificate level course that takes one semester to complete. Now, if we're talking about high school, like they probably have other commitments, so that might be spread out over some time. But yeah, like we have those certificate level courses in IT as well, right? So we have, you know, they can get AWS certified, they can get different certifications as well that may come after they complete high school, but still in that age range, right? And these are what we call stackable certifications, where they can start earning. They can start earning after they've earned that one certification. Just like you guys were talking about, they take the next level up at ACC because we are accredited. Then we can turn that into an associate's degree or a four-year degree as well.
Please.
What the panelists are offering, because I from a family of five, we're all homeschooled. So, and I've seen all my siblings grow up through different employment options. My older brother went out of high school and did MCSE and Windows Networking, which were some of the first IT certifications out there. Then he worked at Blizzard. I'm a doctor. One of my brothers has a master's degree. But like the things that they're talking about are connections in all employment. Connections are some of the most important things you can make. And experience, and then your certificate degree programs, and that's what they're sort of all offering, a variety of things in those doesn't seem to matter like where you are. Those tend to be like the most important things that you should seek after, not necessarily the exact Baptist degree or whatever else, but a connection gets you into the door, and then your work ethic gets you a job, or your experience that you have at whatever place gets you a job, and then also certificates that the companies can see that you've actually done X, Y, Z.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I think it's breaking this idea of this traditional path of the only way to get there too, and going back and looking at it from a very logical, real life approach to how we would do anything, right? So why spend all of this money going down this lane if I don't know if I need it? Get the experience, make the connection, go in, determine what they need, then go find the path to get, you know what I mean, and maybe have them invest in doing it. It's just a understanding that it works smarter, not harder, and ultimately accomplish the same goal probably better. Yeah.
And one thing, I don't know what, like I guess if you're in here, you have tweens. My daughter's in her mid-20s. She's working a job today that didn't exist when I was her age. So I want to encourage you guys to think about that as parents as well. Your children probably have opportunities that you might not have had. We've always needed doctors. We've always needed school teachers and lawyers and things like that. But
We always needed lawyers.
yeah. But like my parents, my mom was a school teacher. Education is very important in our family. And so in our household, you are going to college. And my parents always said, we just want one engineer. I was an art major. My sister was a theater major. Our brother dropped out of college to join a band. And so that's what they got. And they were so great. They were like, they went to any show that he did in town. The band stayed at mom and dad's house, and they went to all my art exhibits. They went to all of my sister's shows. Today, my brother is a pharmacist. My sister is an event producer for like events like this. And I'm an event photographer. So I've been doing that for about 12 years now. None of us are doing what we ever imagined. I mean, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a dental hygienist because my dental hygienist was so nice. She was really, it was always a really positive experience. But teeth. I don't want to work with people's teeth. But I just want to encourage you guys, there are jobs that are available now that were not available. And so it's going to push you as parents when your kids say, what should I do? You may not even know. And so well done you for coming to something like this just to investigate and explore and seek out those avenues for your children because you don't know what you don't know. And so we're all still learning today. I mean, did you guys ever think you were going to have this academy that you have, this learning center?
I never even thought that for a moment that there would be an opportunity to teach somebody how to be a cloud engineer.
Yeah,
What
right?
does that even mean?
My grandfather wouldn't know what that is. Yeah, a meteorologist, is that what you're doing?
No. Not even that.
Yeah.
Cloud engineer, basically just the data out in the ether, data that's out in what's considered the cloud nowadays.
Yeah.
It's we're getting away from traditional, saving your OneDrive, as an example, is cloud. That's cloud. Dropbox, cloud. And so being able to be a cloud engineer, it's like, no, I would have never thought that. You say traditional, you think, an IT person, a help desk person. It's like nowadays, there's so many different avenues to go. It's ridiculous.
Well, I think I would add on 2 important points, at least, when I'm talking to parents about teens. And the first is, it doesn't matter what you want them to be. They are what they are, and they're going to be what they want to be, right? So, and I get it. We've all been there like, oh, but I want to, as my granny would say, want in one hand, in the other, see which one fills up faster. So instead of looking at what we want them to be, we should be asking them what is it that they want to be and finding the best path forward. And here's another crazy thing that I think we think sometimes, because I was this. My problem was I never, and still don't, ever want to be just one thing. I've done so many different things throughout my life. So people are like, oh, what do you do? Which stage of the life journey do you want to drop in on? Because I've done a lot of different things and for different reasons, right? And so I think, again, identifying and empowering them to understand it's up to them to choose what they want to be, arming them with the tools, the avenues, and the opportunity to discover that, and then realizing that they never actually have to define it and stick in that lane forever anyway.
Yeah.
Because all I have to do tomorrow if I want to be something else is go out and do the work that I did to be what I am today, right? For that past
Yeah.
plan. So
Yeah.
that would be my advice to teen parents for sure. Any questions, you guys? Thoughts? Stories you want to share?
I was just wondering, with ACC, do y'all do like certification fairs? Can kids audit classes to kind of see some of the things that are available without like?
Well, so audit is a very specific term, so that,
So like sitting in on it.
right,
just kind
so,
of explain.
not necessarily, specifically like for those, certification classes, they may not even be on the credit side. We may be talking about, continuing education, so, they don't necessarily do auditing, but they do have their own representatives for each department, right? So they're happy to work with students and get them involved with the professors, and the deans are very approachable, and they'll come and they'll actually speak to prospective students as well and explain their program in a lot more detail, right? So it may not be, shadowing a class per se, but there are definitely opportunities to speak to instructors and people in the department themselves to get more information and see if they're interested in that.
Are you kind of the touch base or contact?
Yeah, well, so ACC is a huge organization. We're talking about different silos here, right? So specifically, I'm here representing high school programs, right? So this is for early college start, for dual credit, for those career programs. That's what I'm representing. But if we were talking about certification programs or other things like that, I definitely work through me, and I can get you to the right people. But yeah, like specifically, like when I said like auditing means something that most non-higher ed people just think that auditing just means sitting in a class. Well, that might be acceptable to a professor, but we have to go through that process, and auditing at the collegiate level means you have to be enrolled in the class. It's just not earning the credit, right? So it may not be what most people think of auditing, right? So we could probably do something similar to that, but it wouldn't be auditing a class, yeah.
And then I have one other question too. With the dual credit classes, so I know like over the years, you had some classes where he'd taken at ACC, but they didn't transfer to four-year universities. Has some of that like worked out more, where classes are more?
Right. So all of that is really codified now. When a student takes what we call the core curriculum classes, they're listed as transferable or not. It would be literally a T on the legend for transferable, or E as an elective. So ACC is SAC accredited, meaning Southern Association of Colleges and Universities. So we have the same exact accreditation as UT Austin, Texas State, where the majority of our students transfer to, but then any other college or university in Texas, and then across the country as well. So just depending, like if you're talking about out of state, then you would always have to check with the school that you're trying to transfer into to make sure they accept that credit. And even when you're start talking about higher level classes like advanced mathematics, or like anatomy physiology or something like that, for health sciences like UT Austin, even though they'll accept the credit, they may not want you to take it at another college, community college or otherwise, because they want it in their program, right? So we always tell students to stick to your core curriculum classes. That way, even if they don't accept those other higher classes, then you've got at least 2 years under your belt already before you transfer.
Interesting. Yeah, and so again, I would encourage you, Sean, you're right. Your breakout is at 3 p.m., right? We'll
Yeah.
talk a little bit more in detail on that. But Marissa, your breakout is actually right after this, where you actually talk about college prep without traditional dual enrollments and explaining how you can accomplish some of those goals in a different manner. So if you're interested, I might stick around for those. But do we have any other questions for the panelists here today?
One at a time, folks.
I know. We were so informative and enlightening. They're just like, I've got all my questions answered. I know everything I need to know to go forward confidently with my teen and tween. Who has ever said that once?
Just now.
And, yeah, I know, right? Just now. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I hope you guys found this informative. I love these organizations. I love these opportunities. And I just think our teens and tweens are so lucky.